made in Mississippi. And if that's not the case, then they can shut up. It's my job to tell the truth.
Yeah.
The shot took a The shot's not going on this long.
Quentin Tarantino is one of the most outspoken directors in Hollywood. No filters, no sugarcoating. He tells it like it is, and that honesty has earned him both admiration and enemies. But when it comes to actors, he doesn't just dish out compliments. He lays down harsh truths and brutal critiques. And when you question his views, this is the reaction you usually get.
Refuse your question. I'm not your slave and you're not my master. You can't make me dance to your tune.
I'm
not a monkey. It's none of your damn business what I think about that.
Well, it's my job to ask you why you think that.
And I'm saying
very influential.
no.
So today, we're diving into 5 actors who, despite their fame, got caught in Tarantino's crosshairs and didn't walk away unscathed. First, we have Keanu Reeves, a man who's been called the internet's boyfriend and an action hero for the ages. From The Matrix in 1999 to the wildly successful John Wick series, Reeves has carved out a legacy of quiet charisma and unforgettable stunts. But for Quentin Tarantino, Keanu isn't a hero. He's a symbol of everything wrong with modern filmmaking. Let's be real. The Matrix changed the game. It wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural phenomenon that redefined sci-fi and action. But Tarantino? He's not impressed. He's called out the heavy reliance on CGI in films like The Matrix, arguing that these effects overshadow the actor's craft. In his 2019 interview, Tarantino stated, "I want to see actors, not pixels." And Reeves's minimalist acting style seems to fall short of the theatrical, dialogue-heavy performances Tarantino adores. Reeves's understated approach, his brooding silences, and quiet intensity work perfectly for roles like Neo or John Wick. But Tarantino's characters? They're all about commanding attention through sharp dialogue and electric energy. Think of Samuel L. Jackson delivering Jules's iconic speech in Pulp Fiction. Reeves's style just doesn't fit in a Tarantino universe. So, while fans celebrate Keanu's action-packed legacy, Tarantino sees a CGI actor where others see a legend. And that, unfortunately, is why Keanu Reeves and Quentin Tarantino were never meant to cross paths. Speaking of legends, let's move to an actor who has worked with Tarantino, but didn't escape unscathed, Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio is Hollywood royalty. With roles in Titanic, Inception, and The Wolf of Wall Street, he's built a reputation as one of the greatest actors of his generation. But even Leo hasn't managed to dodge Tarantino's sharp critiques.
That guy.
From Boondocks.
You've met that guy before.
And then Leo. Yeah.
When DiCaprio played Calvin Candy in Django Unchained, 2012, he delivered a performance that was as chilling as it was memorable. Who could forget the infamous dinner scene, where DiCaprio sliced his hand on broken glass and stayed in character, smearing his blood on Kerry Washington's face? It's a moment that cemented his commitment to his craft. But here's the twist. Tarantino saw this role differently. Calvin Candy, for all his villainous charm, was intentionally written as a one-dimensional character, pure evil, with no layers or nuance. And while DiCaprio brought intensity to the role, the lack of complexity may have limited his ability to truly shine. Now, here's where things get controversial. Tarantino has compared DiCaprio to Robert De Niro, calling De Niro the greatest actor of his generation. In contrast, DiCaprio has been described as a lesser actor in certain respects. Tarantino's standards are sky-high, and even an A-lister like DiCaprio isn't immune to scrutiny. It's worth noting that by 2022, DiCaprio's films had grossed over $7.2 billion worldwide. That's an impressive stat. But for Tarantino, box office numbers don't mean much. He's more interested in raw, visceral performances, the kind he sees in De Niro's Taxi Driver or Raging Bull. So, while DiCaprio is undeniably talented, he's not quite the untouchable icon Tarantino holds up as the gold standard. From DiCaprio's one-dimensional villainy, we now turn to another actor Tarantino has worked with, but hasn't spared from criticism: Brad Pitt. Next up, Brad Pitt and Quentin Tarantino have shared some legendary cinematic moments. Most notably, Pitt's Oscar-winning turn as the devil-may-care stuntman Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In that role, Pitt oozed charisma. He made you believe he could fix a roof, tussle with Bruce Lee, and take down a hippie cult all in the same afternoon and without breaking a sweat.
But actually, Aldo is incapable of being anybody other than Aldo. Even when he tries his best.
Tarantino himself described Pitt as one of the last great movie stars, a rare breed who commands the screen with little more than sheer presence. But here's where it gets juicy. While Tarantino raves about Pitt's work under his direction, he's been less kind about Pitt's performances in other films. Take Meet the Parents, 2000. Tarantino has reportedly thrown some serious shade at Pitt's laid-back golden boy charm, suggesting it didn't exactly scream Oscar-worthy. To be fair, Meet the Parents isn't exactly high drama. It's more awkward Thanksgiving dinner meets Ben Stiller Panic Attack. But the point is, Tarantino's standards are notoriously unforgiving, even for an actor of Pitt's caliber. It's a double-edged sword, really. That effortless charm is what makes Pitt so watchable. But it might also be why Tarantino occasionally finds him frustrating. He wants intensity, grit, and raw energy, the kind of performance that punches you in the gut. And while Pitt can deliver that when he's motivated, Fight Club anyone? There's a sense that he doesn't always push himself to those limits. Now, speaking of actors who didn't quite live up to expectations, let's talk about John Finch, or as Tarantino might put it, the Hitchcock leading man who dropped the ball. John Finch is best remembered for his role in Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy, 1972, a psychological thriller about a serial killer in London. On paper, Finch had everything going for him. He was British, brooding, and had that classic Hitchcock leading man vibe. But for Tarantino, Finch's performance was more meh than mesmerizing. Tarantino has never been shy about his disdain for Frenzy, calling it one of Hitchcock's weaker efforts. And a big part of that critique comes down to Finch. According to Tarantino, Finch lacked the dynamism needed to carry the film. In other words, he didn't command the screen the way a Hitchcock lead should.
Were you a big Hitchcock guy?
Not a Hitchcock fan.
Really?
Here's the thing. Tarantino has a very specific philosophy when it comes to casting. He believes that a great actor doesn't just play a role they elevated. Think Uma Thurman as the bride in Kill Bill or Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa in Inglourious Basterds. These performances aren't just memorable, they're iconic. Finch, by contrast, felt like a missed opportunity. Tarantino has suggested that Finch's low-energy approach drained the film of its potential tension and excitement. In a genre where every glance, pause, and line delivery needs to crackle with suspense, Finch's understated style just didn't cut it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Finch's perceived shortcomings didn't just irritate Tarantino, they influenced him. Tarantino has said that watching films with lackluster leads helped shape his own approach to casting. He doesn't just look for good actors, he looks for magnetic ones. The kind of actors who can hold your attention even if they're just eating a sandwich or tying their shoes. So, while John Finch's performance in Frenzy may not have won Tarantino's approval, it did serve as a cautionary tale. In Tarantino's world, the lead actor is the engine of the film, and if that engine sputters, the whole vehicle stalls. From Pitt's effortless charm to Finch's low-energy blunder, one thing is clear. Tarantino's standards for his actors are sky high, and he's not afraid to call out anyone who doesn't meet them. All right, let's get into the wild ride that is Quentin Tarantino's take on Robert De Niro, a love story that somehow turned into a slow-burn drama. At first, Tarantino was all in. He called De Niro possibly the greatest actor of his generation. No small praise, right? De Niro's legacy speaks for itself. Taxi Driver in '76, Raging Bull in '80, The Godfather Part 2 in '74. The guy defined what intense, transformative acting looks like. For a director like Tarantino, who worships raw energy and magnetic performances, De Niro was basically the blueprint.
And he's just like, yeah, that's just, it's just disappointing.
But then came Jackie Brown in '97, where De Niro played Louis Gara a much more laid-back, low-key role. And here's the twist. This performance didn't exactly light Tarantino's fire. The film itself was a slow burn, less of the punchy, adrenaline-fueled style we expect from Quentin. De Niro's character wasn't a showstopper. It felt like the kind of role that just didn't feed Tarantino's appetite for bold, in-your-face acting. So, in Tarantino's eyes, De Niro's work here came off as lesser, like the guy who once ruled the acting game suddenly was playing catch-up. Now, fast forward to Tarantino's comparisons, and things get spicy. He puts De Niro side by side with Leonardo DiCaprio, his go-to actor in recent years, and subtly hints that DiCaprio might have the edge. That's a huge statement. De Niro, the legendary heavyweight, versus DiCaprio, the Hollywood chameleon of the 21st century. Is this just a sign that Tarantino's tastes have evolved with the times? DiCaprio's intensity is a bit different, more modern, maybe even a little unpredictable, something that fits Tarantino's style like a glove. Or maybe it's personal. Tarantino clearly connects with actors who can match his energy and vision, and De Niro's quieter style in Jackie Brown just didn't cut it. This obsession with intensity explains a lot of his criticisms. When he slams an actor for being too laid back or too CGI dependent, it's not just snobbery, it's his way of saying, where's the fire? Where's the real deal? Take Keanu Reeves, for example. To Tarantino, Keanu's cool, stoic style combined with CGI-heavy films just doesn't cut it. Tarantino craves a live wire on screen, not a wax museum figure. Now, here's where things get juicy. Tarantino's public critiques might also be part of his strategy to control his own story in Hollywood. The guy is famously outspoken, never one to shy away from controversy. But is this boldness just bravado? Maybe. Or maybe it's a deliberate way for him to stake his claim, setting the rules of engagement for what real acting means in his world. That's where you come in. Drop your thoughts in the comments, agree, disagree, or just spill the tea. After all, with Tarantino, nothing's ever black and white.